Hey everybody, it's John from Slots, Iowa. So today we're going to talk about casino myth number 6. And that is that some people think they can tell when a machine is going to hit. So there's something that's called perceived progression. So if you're looking at a machine, and let's say it has 3 pigs, and the pigs keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, people think that if they sit down in a machine where all the pigs look like they're maxed out and they're as big as they can get, that shows that that machine is going to hit. Well, it couldn't be farther from the truth. Okay, that's a perceived progression. They want you to look at that, see those things growing. Let's say whether it's firecrackers, pigs, coins, whatever it is. See those things getting bigger and growing so that it draws you to the machine and so that you're convinced that it's going to hit soon. And I got to tell you, I was guilty of that one of the first times I went to back to a casino, a couple of years ago. Buddy and I were looking at the machine that has the firecrackers on it, and they are all near the top. Let's sit down, let's hit that because it's got to go. I hate to say this, but it did hit after a couple of spins. But that's no guarantee because everything is controlled by a random number generator. So when you push the spin button, there's a computer that locks in a number that's been spinning, and it's your luck is 1 out of a million that you're going to hit that certain number. And that number may be a bonus. It may be a dead spin with nothing. It could be, a small win. You just don't know. And there's no way to control that. And you say, well, but that, let's say somebody's sitting in the machine and they put $1,000 into it. They get up and leave. You sit down. It's got to hit because it's got all that money in it. Well, yes, it's going to hit at some certain point, but it's still controlled by the random number generator. And you say, well, it's got to even itself out. Well, yes, I mean, the machine has to do it evenly over millions and years of spins. It doesn't mean that when you sit and watch it for a day, a lot of people put a lot of money into it, it's going to hit. I know it's going to hit. There is just no truth to that. It may, just because it's luck, okay? It's luck that you sit down and hit that button at a certain time to win that bonus or to win whatever. It's kind of like playing at the roulette table. The roulette ball, the ball can end up on black 50 times. Does that mean that it's more likely to hit black again, or it's more likely to hit red because it hasn't hit red? No, it's still 50-50. That's what it comes down to. It's 50-50. And so on a slot machine, you have to be very careful before you start thinking about, well, that slot machine's full of money. It's got to start spitting some out. And again, it may not. You just don't know. So, some people adjust their bets. And one thing that you can do, or one thing that people do is, if I'm betting pennies and I'm betting 75 cents, the volatility is probably higher. It's probably set at 87, 88% than if I sit down and play dollars or quarters or dimes. That may be 93 or 94%. And so if you're betting pennies, you think, well, it's going to give me a better chance to win. Not really, because those quarters and nickels and those higher bets are set at a lower volatility. And if you hit, you're going to get hit bigger than what you do on pennies. It's like I watch Jackpot Judo, and he talks about if you're betting anything under $5, you're crazy. Because if what you're aiming for is a hand pay, $1,200, or supposedly on January 1st, it's going to be $2,000. If you're betting pennies, let's say you're betting 75 cents, and you want to hit $1,200, well, think about the multiples of 75 cents that takes, to hit. I mean, 100 times is $75. I mean, we're talking thousands, okay? But if you're betting $5 and you want to hit that $1,200, your chances, I'm going to say they're about this. The chances are not better, but when you do hit, you're going to hit bigger, okay? And so if your whole want is to hit a hand pay, you should be betting higher denominations and higher amounts. If your bankroll can't handle that, then don't do it, okay? If you're betting 75 cents and you hit $75, that's 100 times 75 cents. That's pretty good, okay? But if you're betting $5 and you hit $500, that's still 100 times, but you're betting more on the bottom on the bet that you're doing. So, just be careful. Number one, bet within your means, okay? If you've got $200 let's say you got $100. It probably doesn't make sense to bet $5 a spin. You got 20 spins. You're probably not going to hit anything. Okay, so that probably does make sense to do 75-cent bets. But if you've got a $500 budget, I've heard several influencers, Cowboy Slots, and different people say the 1% rule. Okay, 1% of $500 is $5. That's a normal bet. Okay, if you got $75, 1% is 75 cents. So don't go over what you should be betting. But if you're somebody that's got quite a bit of money, $1,000 or whatever, you probably should be betting higher amounts in hopes of giving a higher jackpot or a higher hand pay. So it's probably about clear as mud. But just keep in mind, machines are computer controlled. They're not controlled by the casino. They're not controlled by anything other than a random number generator that is set at a certain percentage of payback. So if it's set at 94%, you bet $1, logically you should get 94 cents back. But you have to think about the guy that just hit $10,000 on that machine. That has to even out over time. So you're really not going to hit 94 cents. You may be hitting 70 cents, whatever it is. But there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee in gambling. That's why they call it gambling. And there's no guarantee that you're going to win at the casino. If everybody won that went to a casino, there wouldn't be any casinos because they wouldn't make money. That's their job. Their job is to make money. So I hope that helped you out a little bit. If you like what I put out there, please follow, subscribe, or like. And, I hope you have a great day. And remember, I'm rooting for you. Thanks.